All right. And away we go. I'm Dan Schinder.
And I'm Steven Schinder.
And we are Yesshift. Steve's the father. I'm the father. Steve's the son. I always get that mixed up. I don't know why. Probably because he's more mature than I am. I think all our kids are, except for one.
Yeah, I was born in 94. You were born earlier at some point. So,
yeah, it was quite a bit earlier. And we're here on a very fun episode that we're going to do a fun exercise that we elicited information from you, the fans. But first, we want to acknowledge a very monumental anniversary of the late, great Alan White. Tell them about that, Steve.
Yeah, so today is July 30th, 50 years ago in 1972 is when Alan White performed his first Yes gig in Dallas, Texas. And, 3 days ago, you had Joe Cass from Total Master Tain on Tribute to the Tributes over on Drum Talk TV. And I believe that was on the 50th anniversary of when he started rehearsing the songs like 3 days before. So it's pretty wild that we were able to catch both of those anniversaries.
Yeah, definitely. I might do a vlog tomorrow or we'll talk about that, or on Drum Talk TV, folks, where I'll play to a bunch of Alan White Yes music in honor of that and in honor of him, if not maybe during the week.
Yeah, and the online audio recordings available from that first show, it's kind of muddy, but there's an hour of stuff if people want to check that out. I'll just go ahead and put that in the comments, just pop that in there.
Cool.
And talk about monumental. He was with Yes for pretty much half a century, and
who holds a job that long in any industry, Yeah,
and he left his mark. And there's a recent John Anderson quote from an Ultimate Classic Rock interview. They did a couple articles with John, one where he talked about Close to the Edge and another where he talked about some other stuff, the Elias sequel being 4.5 hours or something. But in that more recent one, he said about Alan, it was a remarkable feat. He was a very dedicated guy. Talking about learning the songs in 3 days.
Yeah.
And he also said he played on Imagine. That was a ticket to freedom forever.
Yeah, that's a great quote. You froze up. I hope our signal's okay. But think about that. He played on Imagine. Imagine is kind of like, Steve, why don't you jump off and jump back in? You're frozen for some reason. Imagine is it's the soundtrack of a generation or a movement, if you will. And the fact that he played on that is just amazing. And I don't know why Steve's frozen. Let me just tell him through phone text hey Steve, jump off and jump back in. You're frozen. Hopefully that went through, just in case. Let's do it a different way. Oh, it did. Okay. He played on Imagine, but he also played on, All Things Must Pass by George Harrison. I mean, if you really think of what he did even before he was in Yes, and then consider all the crazy things, all the deep, deep catalog he played on within pretty much 50-year career of playing with Yes. He passed away, I think, is 65 days short of that. Still dealing with that. Wow, yikes. Got to reach out to Gigi. Gigi, if you're watching, we'll talk soon. So we came up with an idea, and I admit, this is my weird idea. We came up with this idea to make a list of people's least favorite Yes songs. Doesn't mean you have to hate the songs. And Steven's back. I'm just telling you about the episode, Steve. We asked people to send in their 5 least favorite Yes songs. Doesn't mean you have to hate them. Just the bottom 5 for whatever reason. And then Steve and I, we're going to read a bunch of lists. And then Steve and I each made a 15-song list from those lists. We don't know what's on each other's list. We haven't talked about it. I did mine right before we went live. So let's just dive in and take turns reading songs that people wrote in. And I think, folks, you'll be very surprised. I still am, of what some of the songs are on these lists. But I think it just goes to show that everyone's got a different perspective of this band's amazing catalog that covered actually so many different genres of music within prog rock. Right, Steve?
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for explaining the episode. What was the last thing I said before like my internet connection got interrupted?
It was when we were talking about Alan, having that 50-year career and John's quote of Imagine. And then I chimed in and started explaining how Imagine is basically the soundtrack of a generation and of a movement, of the 60s movement, and that he also played on other John and Yoko material, and he played with George Harrison. He's on All Things Must Pass.
Yeah, and okay, so what I was also saying was, if you're interested, you can go to miguelbased.com and submit to Play for Chris, which is Play for Chris and Alan this year. See the instructions there. You could play along to a Yes song or something, and just paying tribute to Chris and Alan now that Alan has passed away as well. So go see the instructions there. And real quickly, just as we're talking about people who've departed, Jay Shellen posted about producer Michael James Jackson's passing. He worked on a Hurricane album he was on. So many condolences to people connected to him. And Steve Howe announced that there's another album of Virgil Howe recordings.
Yeah.
So we had Nexus about 5 years ago, and now this is the follow-up, Lunar Mist, coming out on Virgil's birthday, September 23rd. So,
nice. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think we had Nexus as a topic idea on our list for a while, so we'll have to talk about that, and then this when that comes out.
On his birthday, yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, and Steve Howe, there's an article where he talked about Roundabout over at Ultimate Classic Rock. And there's also, while talking about songs, there's also a Geddy Lee quote that I guess sort of resurfaced. I'm not sure how recent it was, but he said which Yes song gets him very teary-eyed, and asked people to guess. So do you want to take a guess at what it was real quick, Dad?
I actually read the article, but it wasn't the song I thought. I thought it was going to be the song that I get teary-eyed, which is Turn of the Century.
Yeah, lots of people guess Turn of the Century, Onward.
Tempest Fugit. No.
And there might have been like a couple other guesses, but those were like the big ones. But the one he said was And You and I by Yes is so beautiful, especially when I listen to it now. The combination of nostalgia and pure sonic beauty is pretty moving. So yeah, that was kind of a surprise. I think we've heard it so many times that we kind of take for granted how emotional the song can be.
Yeah, and we know how impactful Chris was on Geddy's playing. So that's cool. Let's dive into this episode. I'm so excited about this. So folks, here we go. We're going to take turns reading people's bottom 5, and then we're going to give you our set list of 15 songs each from these. And the whole idea of this, when I thought of the idea, was to take the bottom 5 from fans, put together a set list, and I think we'd all be surprised on how neat most of us, some of us, any of us would think that set list would be to see performed. So Steve, why don't you read the first one?
All right. So the first one we have on here.
Did I mention I'm excited about this process, this episode? I just think this is so fun.
All right. Well, I included this one real quick, even though it's just one. I tried asking if they could include 4 more, but Bob Mander says Roundabout is too overplayed. And I agree. And this is kind of a spoiler, but I did not include Roundabout on my set list. So like,
interesting.
Regardless of whether we're counting that song or not, since it's not in a top 5, like I'm just not including it either way.
Okay, that does surprise me. I did include it, but something about it might surprise you.
Okay. And then Brian Harris said, I find something rewarding in every Yes song, but these are the ones with the fewest rewards for me. Angkor Wat, New State of Mind, Can I, Clear Days, and Arriving UFO. So I can kind of get where he's coming from. Can I is kind of just a repeat of We Have Heaven. Clear Days is my least favorite on the Time and a Word album. And, these others, again, I can kind of see why people might not vibe with them as much. But yeah, do you have any thoughts on that before, do you want to go to the next one?
No, but I do agree with you. The funny thing about Angkor Wat is we don't really know how many Yes members are on that song because it's part of Union. But I actually like the meaning of this song because Angkor Wat is a physical location that at the time was thought of to be the center of the universe. So I like the story. But yeah, I don't think that there's anything too crazy right there.
Right.
Even though I personally like Arriving UFO. I love the story and I love the jam in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rarely played live. Rarely. But live it sounded really cool.
Yeah. So you want to read the next one?
Next one.
I'd probably butcher the pronunciation of this.
I'm going to take a stab at it. I think it's Vajta Bukovsky. So he says, thank you for doing this podcast. Tuning in always makes my day better. Thank you. That is really nice. Thank you. So here we go. Sister Sleeping Soul. And he gives nice commentary as he goes as well. So I'm going to read those. Sister Sleeping Soul finds it repetitive, gets bored by it, thinks John Davison has written better songs. Future Times Rejoice, which is a shocker to me. I love those songs. Says it's where the high-pitched keys on the album bother them the most. Where Will You Be finds it to be a bland intro to the bombastic, epic, endless dreams. Interesting. I get that. The Solution, too many ideas in 5 minutes and loud moments of ambient track after cause drink to spill in car. I love that. Play by Play. And then I've seen All Good People. I'll comment on that later. Heard it too many times. Doesn't like the mix on CD having vocals and guitar on one side and the drums on the other side. Yeah, that's whack. Interesting. Thanks for the list, Vajta. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right.
Yeah, and yeah, like you, Future Times did surprise me, but it gave good reasoning.
And I love playing those together. I love playing that on the drums. Just love that.
Yeah, and I remember you were pretty unaware of the ambient track after The Solution because you had the cassette version of that album, and it's on the CD. So when I showed it to you in the late 2000s, it took a couple minutes before the vocal thing came in, and once they were yelling, "Waiting for the," you were like, "That scared the shit out of me."
That's right. For those who don't know, this is a cassette. Just for those of you that may be too young or haven't been to a museum lately, this is a cassette. Why do I have cassettes?
Right, but I'll go ahead and read the next list. So this comes from, just give me a moment. This comes from Nick Kokocious, who actually commented over on Yesshift just a moment ago, said Angkor Wat is my favorite track on Union. So again, that highlights how someone's least favorite might be a favorite of someone else.
Exactly, and you just wait. There's a lot more of that coming, folks. It might blow your mind what some of the songs are on here.
Right. So Nick says 5 least favorite, and numbered these 1 through 5. But anyway, says City of Love, Walls, Real Love, The Man You Always Wanted Me to Be,
I love that song.
And then Somehow Someday. So yeah, 3 Yes West tracks right there, and then we get the Chris sung song and the more John Anderson reworked song. He's done 3 versions of that song, I think.
Yeah. Interesting list. little, like you said, heavy on the Yes West, but okay, cool. Thank you, Eric Mendlow. Here we go. 3 from Tormato, Circus of Heaven, Arriving UFO, and Release, Release. And then he's got Believe Again and Subway Walls.
Yeah, so 2 from Heaven and Earth right there.
Yep.
Yeah, I think some of these choices like come from some of the albums we might expect. Like there is kind of a little trend, which I guess we'll talk about like toward the end. I guess.
But some big curveballs. Big curveballs.
Yeah. And then we get Colvin Angler Houston, who says Circus of Heaven. So we got that one again. The Ice Bridge, Bumpy Ride, Sweetness, and then insert Rapin' track here. Just didn't get that era.
I love that.
Yeah, I tried replying, asking, is there like a least favorite Yes West track out of all of that? But it didn't get a response. So,
okay.
And
I want to throw in something that I forgot to mention at the top. Something Steve and I realized after we started promoting this, when we started seeing some of the very interesting least favorites, which are coming. That's one of them, I think, anything from the Rabin era. But I said, man, we should have asked people when they started listening to Yes, because there's some context there, I think. And I think this is a good example. He probably might be older, like my age or older, and, around 60. Yes, around 60. And maybe just that's too poppy for him and not epic enough, if that makes any sense.
Right. Or they could be younger and have different reasons. Like we don't really know everyone's background. So
yeah, exactly. It could be so many reasons. Okay. Zyman Tarkowski says Bumpy Ride, Mystery Tour, Love Shine, No Way We Can Lose, and Wonder Love. 3 from Open Your Eyes.
Yeah. And sorry, I was just going to say, and Mystery Tour, one of those bonus tracks on the Quest, and Bumpy Ride, the part from Fly From Here that people sort of debate, or I guess lots of people agree that it's kind of filler or kind of out of place. So yeah, I totally am not surprised by that, really. And then we get Christopher Lee, the actor. No, he's deceased. Sorry. I love Christopher Lee, the actor, but this Christopher Lee says Step Beyond, Man on the Moon, Music to My Ears, Mystery Tour, and Don't Take No for an Answer.
I love Man on the Moon. I love that song.
So yeah, 4 of these are from like the 2010s to 2020s, and then Man on the Moon is sort of the odd one out from Open Your Eyes back in the 90s. So interesting.
Yeah.
And Kevin McKivergan only listed Step Beyond. I tried asking what the other 4 might be, but in any case, like Step Beyond is on this doc either way. So, it's whatever.
Then we have Shirley Francis Hauk, Looking Around. Something from way back.
Yeah, the first
South
album.
Side of the Sky. That's a shocker for me. But everyone's got different musical sensibilities, and it just shows the crazy arc of music this band put out. But wait, there's more. Soon. Yeah. I can kind of get that. I think it's a beautiful song, but Soon. Are you ready for the next 2, folks?
Yeah, they didn't say Gates of Delirium, so like just that section is understandable. But go ahead.
Brace yourselves. Awaken. John Anderson's favorite Yes song.
Right.
That one and the next one are my favorite Yes songs. That one and The Revealing Science of God. And I get how someone could not be into the whole Tales thing. I totally get that. That's a whole thing over there.
Yeah, this is probably the most surprising list so far.
Yeah. For what you would think a stereotypical Yes fan would like. But again, I think age or when you started listening to them and what you do like has a lot to do with the don't like part. What you don't favor. Go ahead for the next one there, Steve.
Right. So Alexis.
This one's brutal.
Yeah, Alexis Guzian says you can randomly take 5 Open Your Eyes tracks, except the title track and maybe Man on the Moon, and that will do.
Well, at least it
So
likes Man on the Moon.
and
And the
Open Your
open,
Eyes, yeah.
yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and then CJ Irwin says Circus of Heaven, Holy Lamb, That Is, Don't Go, and The Solution. So again, like Circus of Heaven's another repeat. Holy Lamb, you've talked about the reasons that you're not as into it. Like I think your reasoning was it sounds more like a John Anderson solo song or something, right?
Yeah. It could be on Elias of Sun Hello.
Huh. Yeah, I can't imagine it on Elias, but maybe one of his other albums.
Yeah.
Interesting. That is like I love that song musically,
Me too.
but I can also understand how maybe the subject matter might be a bit much for someone. Don't Go is sort of I can get why yeah, I can get why that's might be considered like corny by someone. And The Solution just talked about like a bit ago. I just saw a comment from Mike Tiano saying, just seeing this, but I never cared for That Is. Somehow hearing John Anderson trying to be topical, saying about the stuff happening to the babies sounded jarring, and the arrangement really misses the mark. So
Interesting.
yeah, so again, like different opinions, and I can totally see why it might not be for everyone.
Yeah. Then we have Chris Moon. Parallels. That's interesting. A Big Generator. Arriving UFO. Tempest Fugito. I'm just making up another way to pronounce that song. Tempest Fugito. And Don't Kill the Whale. Interesting mix. Interesting mix. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Parallels is the more surprising one to me on there.
I agree.
So next we have Rick Harrison, who says Adventure from the Yes album, of course. Another mention of Circus of Heaven and another mention of Arriving UFO. Interesting. So there's kind of a trend. Fortune Seller from Open Your Eyes, and finally from The Ladder. And then Rick adds, I didn't include the first 2 or the 2 most recent studio albums in my selections. So,
in this list, I've been telling Billy Sherwood since I met him in 98 that I love Fortune Seller. I love the production on that. I love that song. And finally surprises me more than anything on there. I love that song from The Ladder.
yeah, finally has never been played live.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, if they did, that would give the title even more meaning, I suppose.
Yeah, like finally we're playing this live. But yeah, I'm curious about like the omission of first 2 and last 2 albums. Like maybe Rick's not as familiar, or maybe it's too hard to narrow down. But in either case, I kind of like the symmetry of that in a weird way.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. Jeffrey Froling, Clear Days from Time and a Word, The Ancient from Tales, State of Play from Talk, Universal Garden from Open Your Eyes, and Damaged World from The Quest. I happen to like State of Play, even though it has almost a Michael Jackson cutting edge pop sort of element to it. I like that song. I love the slide guitar solo Trevor does. I like that song. I think the production's interesting. I could get why someone might not be into Tales, let alone The Ancient, as much as I love it. Anything else on there surprise you, Steve?
Not really. Like I can see why The Ancient might feel meandering to someone. State of Play, I also love, but it is kind of, out there in a way, like even for a Yes song, like go figure. But yeah, that one probably hasn't been played live, even though I do recall like a 90s interview, Alan said they may have tried it, but I suspect maybe that was like in rehearsal or something rather
Yeah,
than
I've
like
never
on
found a
stage.
live version. Yeah.
Right. Then we get Keith D. Thomas, who says Beyond and Before. So that's the first track off the first album. Holy Lamb, No Way We Can Lose from the Balcony. So we have two Open Your Eyes tracks there. And Heaven and Earth song, Living in a World of Our Own. That one I can kind of get. It's more of a bluesy song, which I can understand some might like. To them it's like not their preferred sound for Yes, you
Yeah,
know.
I agree.
So
Yeah.
so yeah.
Interesting. And then Nicole Chase. Uh,
Oh yeah,
this
this
is
was like a last minute submission.
and this
so,
is
yeah.
also where you folks might want to put on your helmet. And You and I, Close to the Edge, Gates of Delirium. We're gonna have to block her from the page. Just kidding, just kidding, Nicole. Shock to the System and Mystery Tour. I'd love to know how old Nicole is or what age range and when you started listening. If you happen to be on board or you see this later, please comment. I'd love to know that from everybody. I wish we included that in the questions. Didn't think of it till after we started promoting it. But that's an interesting list. I'm going to guess that she may be younger, or even if age isn't the factor, just into the much more commercial type music.
Right. Or maybe even, you know, could be into some of the 70s stuff, but not like 10 minutes or so long stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like those first three do surprise me. Shock to the System is not that much of a shock, and neither is like Mystery Tour. That's not really a mystery to me, even though I do kind of like it. It's kind of catchy. Like both of those songs are, I really like them in a weird way, but yeah, interesting. Then we get Elizabeth Libra, who says, least favorites, huh? That's a bit hard for me, as I get enjoyment from almost all of the Yes songs that they've had, but I'll try. My bottom 5 Yes songs, and these are numbered from 5 to 1. You Can Be Saved, so that's actually a bonus track on the expanded remastered Tormato. It's a Chris Squire written one. It's really nice. Very,
I can't even think
beautiful.
of it. I need to find that.
Yeah, and then High, which is another Tormato bonus track, which eventually became a Steve Howe solo song.
Oh, I don't remember that either. What's wrong with me?
Yeah, I feel like it might have become either Corkscrew or Sketches in the Sun. It was one of those two. I can't remember which is which at the moment. Somehow, Someday, again, that John Anderson song that ended up on Open Your Eyes. Damaged World, the Steve Howe sung song. That's one of those 3 bonus tracks on the Quest. And Minus the Man, another track from the Quest. And then Elizabeth adds, it would probably be something like this. Not tracks I hate, but more like the tracks that I would most likely skip. If bonus tracks don't cut it, then replace them with No Way We Can Lose and Wonder Love. I like the latter one less.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And they do count. The bonus tracks count. But thanks for that, Elizabeth. That's cool. Mitchell, no last name. Mitchell says, from the balcony, Yesterday and Today, Sign Language, Cans and Brahms, and America. Interesting. That's it. That's eclectic. That's from all over the place.
Yeah, and those are numbered 1 through 5.
That's right. Sorry, I didn't mention that. Yeah. And the last one, Steve, take it, and then we'll give our set lists that we created from these lists.
Yeah, so Ziggy says, I don't know, just pick 4 cuts from the Quest. Well, aside from the Ice Bridge and Dare to Know, those were all right. And Angkor Wat. Apparently this is like, does nothing for Ziggy and adds LOL, but yeah.
An absolute piece of nothing, LOL.
Yeah.
And again, we don't know how many Yes members are even on it. All right, so Steve, do you want to read your list first, or you want me to go first?
Yeah, I can go first.
Okay.
So this is in no particular order except maybe chronologically,
Oh,
I guess.
I thought you said you were putting them in performance order.
Oh no, the set list I put in performance order.
Okay, so you're giving your 5, then your set list.
Yeah.
Okay, you give your 5, I'll give my 5, then your set list, then my set list.
Okay, so my 5 least favorite Yes songs, and I'm pretty sure this first one I'm mentioning is probably my absolute least favorite, is Dangerous from the Union album.
God, I like that song.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
That's
know. It's
all right.
more. It feels more like it's like club music that I wouldn't really be that into. I
Slightly
guess.
electronica genre.
Yeah, somewhat artificial in
EDM.
places.
Yeah, okay.
And then Man on the Moon.
Really?
That one, yeah, like parts of it sound kind of distorted to me, and toward the end it gets kind of repetitive for me. And I know that some songs by Yes are definitely repetitive, but I'm able to go along with because I like them enough. But Man on the Moon, it's like toward the end it keeps going round and round, and it keeps doing that for a good while. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I get it, you know.
Okay.
Then Soft as a Dove from Magnification.
Oh.
Yeah, it like the guitar bits kind of sound like a repeat of From the Balcony, which I thought was executed better. And then, yeah, I don't know. Soft as a Dove, again, like it feels like some of these Yes songs, I don't mind them sounding like they're kind of like John Anderson solo songs, but this one feels the most like to me like it could just be on a John Anderson solo
I agree.
album. And then what's that other song called? It Was All We Knew from Heaven and Earth. That one kind of doesn't really do much
Thought I was
for
going
me.
to sneeze. Sorry.
Like,
Okay.
yeah, it was all we knew. It's just like there are little ideas here and there, like the doo 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 doo, which is kind of interesting, but the vocal harmonies don't do as much for me as like, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like more could have been done with that song. And then last one from the Quest is Music to My Ears, and I'm sure like I do like the idea of it, it's sort of a positive message, but it kind of feels like a repeat of some of those same issues that I had with It Was All We Knew.
Okay.
So yeah, those are my 5 least favorite.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of tough for me, but for the reason that I found like a 6 least favorites, and so I had to like figure out which one.
Yeah, me too.
To cut out, and the one that I ended up cutting out was Shoot High, Aim Low, believe it or not.
Oh, wow. I am surprised. That's interesting. So I'm going to give mine, and I'm only going to give a reason for 2 of them. Okay.
Okay.
And in no particular order. Walls.
Oh wow.
Yeah. All Good People. I'd be fine if I never heard that again. And I think I know that it's so iconic. Like, oh my gosh, they did that song. I know that it's way up there, but I just feel like in the last 15 years or so, 20 years, it's taken up space in a set list on live that they could have played something else. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
That's just my own personal thing.
Yeah, I knew that one was going to be on your list.
Yeah.
And I do agree. It's been overplayed. Maybe if they only played it once every 10 years, we'd have a different view of it. But
Yeah.
they've just played it to death. But
Yeah.
yeah, go on.
Step Beyond.
Oh, okay. So Heaven and Earth track there.
Yeah. Light of Ages.
Yeah, I can see that.
I wrote Step Beyond twice. Okay, what was that one I got rid of? Wait. 1, 2. Oh no, these are 5 now. Okay, sorry, because I moved them around. Okay, and lastly, Mystery Tour.
Okay.
It's a fun story, but I apologize for this. I do like John Davison, you know that.
Yeah.
It just sounds too much like the big red dog jumped over the hedge. The sprinklers went on and the doggy got wet. It just sounds too like a children's book. George got a guitar, got together with it. Just I'm not there with it. Sorry, I apologize. I should make no apologies, but I am. So that's my 5. Let's move on. Just with that explanation. No, you can give explanation. Let's hear your 15-song set list made from the submissions of our fans of their least favorite songs.
Yeah, so and I had to make adjustments because of some of the last minute submissions, adding a couple songs. It's like, okay, I have to get this out, put that in. And like I said, I put these in an order that I thought might be a good performance order.
Me too.
And I don't know if we explicitly explained this, but the way I was thinking of it is that you could imagine that it's played by any Yes lineup, any era. Or,
that's interesting. Okay.
Let's imagine we have a time machine or something, or it could be musicians from it could be a tribute band playing tribute to Yes. I think no matter who's playing these songs, it's a very bold set list choice.
I agree.
So the way I would do it, and again, I guess it goes without saying that it would begin with the Firebird Suite, opening.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess there are other things that could be played, like Young Person's Guide to Orchestra, but I'm a classic Firebird Suite
me too.
type of guy. So the set list proper would begin with Beyond and Before. So, the first song from the first Yes album. I think that would throw people off and they'd be like, whoa. And then after that, do Step Beyond from Heaven and Earth. I quite like that song. It's sort of... I think it's one of the better songs on.
Don't give too much explanation. Let's just blow through the list so people can get a sense of what that show would be like.
Okay. And then Subway Walls. So again, another Heaven and Earth song. Then Finally from The Ladder. And then after that, you get a quieter song, Yesterday and Today from the first Yes album. And then I'd put That Is, sort of an epic before the intermission. And then after the intermission, I do State of Play from the Talk album, followed by New State of Mind, and then Universal Garden, both from Open Your Eyes. And then a Quest song, Minus the Man. And then you have another epic, The Ancient. And then Holy Lamb, you got mention of the Lamb in both of those songs. So, and I know it's a quieter song, so it'd be kind of weird to end the second set with that, but you could probably extend it a bit, maybe make the ending a bit punchier. And then for the encore, I put 3 tracks. So Future Times, Rejoice, and then Looking Around, and then Release, end with a rocking bang type of thing.
Interesting. Great. That's a great set. Think about that, folks. I think that would make for a great show. I think mine would as well. Thank you. Which I'll read now. And I didn't put in an intermission, so looking at it, I think I will now. Okay. Yeah, I will. Okay, here we go. And I didn't, okay, I'll make these 2 an encore. Okay, there we go. Okay, ready? Here we go.
Yeah.
Firebird Suite into Parallels, then into New State of Mind. I think that would be great.
Oh yeah, nice contrast there.
Yep. And then Future Times, Rejoice, a favorite third position still there. Very positive, uplifting. And then Make Getty Weep with And You and I. And then Continue the Beauty with Awaken. Shake it up a little bit with South Side of the Sky. And get really cerebral with The Revealing Science of God. Then intermission, let everyone's brains breathe a little bit. And then come back with the Ice Bridge, which I think would be cool.
Oh, wow.
Gallop right into that, because it is a gallop beat right from the intermission. And then go into That Is. And then get everyone on their feet and dancing with State of Play. And then freak the fuck out of everyone by, for the first time since maybe the album came out, since Fragile, put Roundabout in the set right there after State of Play. Then go into Close to the Edge, blow the lid off the arena with Gates of Delirium. And for 2 encores, kind of related topics by title, Finally and Tempest Fugit. Just rock them out of the arena with those two. I think that would be a really neat concert.
Yeah, and it's interesting because some of the choices on both our set lists are not necessarily songs that probably most Yes fans ask for, but I feel like if anyone played either of those set lists, people could still admire the bold decisions rather than playing like some of the more predictable stuff that we're so used to, you know?
Yes, and I have to say this. My set list came out nothing like I expected. I did not expect Awaken and You and I, Gates of Delirium, or The Revealing Science of God or Close to the Edge to be on the lists. So I put those in because I think that would make a great concert. Without those 5 songs, this would look and feel completely different. I'd be plugging in some of those other things, but those 5 epics, I'm including And You and I as a short epic, that those 5 songs being on people's lists was a game changer for me. Like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to include those because I would want to see those in a show. So without those, I'd really have to go through the list and think about, like, how would I replace those? And by the way, Steve and myself, we didn't give these set lists any time consideration. Let's go back to the old days, the 70s, when time didn't matter and they were playing 3-hour, 3.5-hour shows, whatever it ends up being. We didn't take that into consideration simply because we didn't have time to do the math.
Right, yeah.
And we didn't want it to be limiting in that way. That'd be a whole other exercise.
Yeah, and I saw a response from Rick Harrison explaining the, like, not including first 2 and last 2 albums thing. So Rick's explanation was basically that, like, to him, the first 2, like, they hadn't really gelled as the Yes we know quite yet. And then on the last 2 albums, you know, Heaven and Earth and The Quest, the only tracks he really likes are The Game and The Western Edge. Says, I love The Western Edge. Still exploring that album and re-listening.
And Nick is reminding me that Mystery Tour was written solely by Howe, not Davison. How I mentioned John in my comment about Mystery Tour. So thank you, Nick. I forgot about that. Maybe it's because I was reflecting more so on the way it's sung. It sounds too much like a children's book as well as the lyrics. And I know that that's Howe's nod to big influences. So I respect that. The song's kind of lost on me.
Yeah, and I may have misspoken while summarizing, so let me just say this part verbatim. The only song I like from Heaven and Earth is The Game. I love The Western Edge from The Quest, still exploring that album and re-listening.
Okay, cool. Douglas, can I read that one?
Oh, yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, go ahead.
Douglas Reed. Hey, Douglas. Douglas texts me all kinds of fun stuff all the time. Release is a favorite of mine. It was dropped from the set list of the Tormato Tour. Believe after 4 shows, reason being the band found it took too much out of them physically. Steve, I think you pointed that out as well once, yeah?
Yeah, I think that's the explanation I've heard. Yeah, they played it at, yeah.
And that's just so weird when you think of other songs like Sound Chaser, Gates of Delirium, Tempest Fugit, Silent Wings of Freedom, but yet that took too much out of. That's just weird to me. Don't you think? That's like saying we took out Close to the Edge because it's too long, but on that same tour they played Tales. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, this was the Tormato Tour, so even if it wasn't like the same as some of those other tours, it was still like late 70s and they were like in their prime, so it's, kind of surprising.
They played And You and I and Awaken and the medley on that tour, so that's just mind-boggling to me, but what do I know?
Yeah, and I also see that Brian Cahoon sent a few comments over on Drum Talk TV. So I'll just read a couple of these. Apparently not a fan of John singing Paul Simon, so I guess that's a comment about America. Said, good choices, Dan.
Thank you.
And said 3 hours is good. I guess pertaining to like a 3-hour set list.
Yeah.
So... yeah, those are like all some really interesting lists, and I'd love to hear a set list that really goes like off the wall and just totally unexpected.
Yeah, has some, and the lists that we got from people lended us to be able to do that. You know, we both have some wacky things on there. State of Play, the Ice Bridge, that is New State of Mind. I don't think anyone expects to ever hear those.
Right, yeah.
Maybe the Ice Bridge, I hope. I mean, that's so new, but I thought that'd be cool to throw in there. So that was fun.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, and since this is current, I also want to like throw in a reminder that Dave Kersner's album The Traveler just came out, and of course features Billy Sherwood on bass on 3 tracks and John Davison on vocals on the penultimate track. I gave it a listen earlier. It's pretty good. It's very well mixed and produced. My favorite song on there is probably For Granted. I need to like delve into it more because apparently it's connected to a couple other albums of Dave's. So I'm curious to see if like getting familiar with those sort of adds to the experience. But yeah, people can go check that out at sonicelements.com or .bandcamp.com rather.
And Keith D. Thomas, sorry, I giggled because of this comment. No Way We Can Lose sounds like the theme song to some kid show on Nickelodeon.
Oh, the harmonica, or
he says the whole song. So we can all find a way to be. I can hear that.
It does sound kind of like after school special.
Yeah, it's very sing-songy, follow the bouncy ball type of song.
Yeah, definitely.
But then again, so is Sound Chaser. So cool. That was fun. For those of you who submitted for this and commented on the live, thank you so much. And if you're watching the archive on our Yesshift page or on Drum Talk TV, go ahead and continue to comment. Thank you very much. And you can listen to these episodes if you're more of a podcast person. You can go to anchor.fm/Yesshift, and we're on all the major outlets through anchor.fm, our channel there. And you can write us if you dare to suggest some ideas. We've actually put some into action. I think there's still an idea floating out there we still need to produce, Steve. But our email is yesshiftpodcast at gmail.com. And in case you're listening there or only know us from Drum Talk TV's simulcast, you can follow us on Facebook and see the lives there as well at facebook.com/Yesshift. Did we do Brian Harris's suggestion? I'm blanking out on that.
Oh, we did. So a while ago, his suggestion was talking about Yes concert films, and we've covered the 20th century ones so far, but we still need to do the 21st century ones. Right.
Okay. So maybe we'll get to that. Maybe at some point we'll cover, we'll rate Yes books we've read, but that might take some time. I'm slow going through books simply because I don't have a lot of reading time, and a chunk of my reading time is put into reading business books that I like. So that one might take a while. But when's our next show, Steve?
So we were thinking of Saturday the 6th, but it's looking like it'll be Sunday the 7th.
That's right.
At I believe noon Pacific. And if anything changes, we'll post about it on our Facebook page.
Thanks. We always promote the shows ahead of time. Nick also says John Anderson said release was too high and hard to sing. Interesting. And Douglas also said, side note, damn, you didn't win the Mega Millions. Oh, I saw that. Yeah, someone in Illinois did. Yeah, it was like $1.25 billion and the second largest. For those of you outside the United States, it's some crazy thing that goes on here where any schlub can win if they buy the right ticket.
But yeah, just a quick comment. Yeah, I think some of the song choices were from albums we sort of expected, like Tormato, Open Your Eyes, the last couple albums. But look, I think Circus of Heaven probably got the most mentions, really? like 4 mentions. And then most of them were like once, maybe there were twice, and some were like 3. But yeah, I think Circus of Heaven got the most with just 4.
Oh, interesting.
And I do kind of get it, but I also like that song. I like the innocence of it.
I like that song, and I especially like the live version from the first Tormato tour. I was there, and the recording of Damien as a little boy talking that
Right.
middle part. The lights basically turned off. The stage was a blue glow, and the mirror ball went on, and the sparkles are rotating. I saw it in the LA Forum, and there's Damien's voice. It was so enchanting. I'm getting goosebumps. It really was. I really am. It was enchanting. I really liked that. So it's interesting what people do like, don't like, or you know.
Yeah, and Simon Barrow just commented, release is well within John Davison's range.
Interesting. That'd
So,
be neat. That'd be neat for them to pull out some weirdly deep cuts like that, you know?
yeah, I imagine they'd have to like slow it down at least a little bit. So if they can like rehearse it and get it down like to a place where they're comfortable, I could kind of like it would just be a surprise either way, I guess, you know?
Yeah, and give Jay a chance to stand out for the first time with the solo.
Yeah, with the crowd, like, yeah. And Douglas says Circus of Heaven was an astounding accomplishment to sing all those lyrics. Yeah, it's got like very colorful
Yeah,
lyrics.
and it keeps going, snaking, winding through. That's right. Yeah, I like that. Interesting takes on opposite takes by people. And Eli
Yeah,
commented on my shirt, loves my shirt. Stephen got me this shirt for my birthday. Surprisingly, I only have one other Yes shirt. Years ago, I had other shirts, and they with age and time and divorces, stuff disappears.
yeah, and something we forgot to mention is that there's this video floating around that we shared as well on our page from like 2011 of Alan White with his band White
Yes.
and an orchestra and some other performers like Tracy Bonham playing in the presence of and some of Ritual. Like some of it was instrumental, but I think there was like some singing, at least of the end bits, if I recall correctly,
Yeah.
and it was really good. So people
Check
should go ahead
that.
and check that out.
Yes, go to our page and check that out. The Yesshift page. Yeah. Oh, we put it on Drum Talk TV also.
Yeah,
it's
and
there.
I'll also link it in the show notes for the podcast. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thanks everybody so much for following what we do. We do appreciate it. One more bit of business. I need some new underwear, and there's a way you can help me out. Tell them, Steve.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll entice people, but you can support us by going to anchor.fm/yesshift and click the support button. And instead of underwear, maybe we'll buy like, I don't know, Yes apparel or some other stuff like.
A Yes cassette.
Right. Yeah. So for pretty much anything, I guess you can support us that way. And yeah, and thank you for following the show, and
Yeah.
hope you keep on enjoying listening to these.
This is 100% passion project that we actually, Steve actually puts a lot of time into the getting ready and everything. And Steve and I both have two very full-time jobs. We work together at Drum Talk TV and my marketing company, and we do this because we love doing it. And we always talk about Yes anyway. So one day I said, why don't we do a podcast? And that turned into doing Facebook Lives. And so we appreciate any way you can throw some change and support us for fun. Show us that you love it. If you do, if you hate it, pay for that too.
Yeah, if you hate us, send us money, I guess.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you all soon.
Bye.